Do you pay yourself first? I know you've heard this over and over and over again, as I have in my life, to pay yourself first. That is the number one goal of financial freedom, of being a business owner, of being an entrepreneur, and of getting rich and wealthy. You have to pay yourself first. I'm Makai Block, you're watching Limitless North, and in this video we're going to talk about what it actually means to pay yourself first, because we've all heard that said over and over and over again in our lives, but if you're anything like me, you might not have really understood how to do that. I mean, we understand it on an easy surface level of like, of course, pay yourself first, but how do you actually do that in the midst of life, in the midst of business, in the midst of demands and bills and things that just want all of your money, your time, and attention? But you know what? It's true that really is the number one rule that you have to master in your life if you ever want to succeed and go places and be better than you currently are and be in a different financial situation than you currently are. So are you paying yourself first? And if you're not, why not? And that's where it starts, is you have to look at what your actual situation is. How are you doing with it? What do you need to improve? Why are you not paying yourself first if you're not? And you know what, for those of you that are watching this video and are paying yourself first, how exactly are you paying yourself and what is your process? You see, we each have to develop something that really works for us. And for me, I heard that over and over and over again, pay yourself first. But you know what, I started my company at 16 and I put every dollar I made back into that, or into bills, or into rent, or whatever it was, and I just never seemed to have much money left over. So how was I supposed to pay myself exactly? Wasn't it paying myself first by being able to pay my bills with the money that I made from my company, or paying my rent, or buying groceries, or whatever it was? Was that paying myself first? Well, I thought it was for the longest time, but then I realized I'm not setting any money aside in my savings account. I'm not developing a retirement account. I'm not getting ahead in life, even though I have this business that is growing and doing well. But it just seems to take all of my money, and my bills and the rest of life's obligations take the rest of that money. So how do I pay myself first? All you experts out there that are telling me to do that, how exactly do I, as a business owner, pay myself first? Well, it wasn't until I read a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, which I would absolutely encourage every one of you to read if you haven't yet. And I'll put a link in the description below to that book on Amazon, and I would highly recommend buying that book. It is a game changer for so many people. I'll do a whole nother video on that at some point, and I know I've brought it up in the past, but it's just an incredible book, and you need to read it. But what it taught me is that you make this certain amount of money, and yeah, you may be in debt like I was. I had credit card debt, I had business debt, I had all sorts of things, loans out and stuff like that I had to give my money to. But you make a certain amount of money, and what you need to do is set aside a percentage of that every single time, right when money comes in, whether it's a paycheck. If you work a job and you have a 9 to 5 and you get a steady income, that's a great place to be. That's a great place to start, because you know consistently how much money is going to come. And so you set aside a percentage of that every time you get a paycheck. But as a business owner, you don't always know how much money you're going to make. You don't know where that check's going to come from, and you don't know when it's going to come. And so what you have to get over, like I did, was every time money comes into your bank account, whether it's $10 or $100 or $10,000, you have to develop a system of percentages on how you split that money up, and you have to stick to it. Consistency is so key for this. And so what I realized was that every time I make $1 or $10 or $100 or whatever it was, I started with even 1% of what I was making, and I set 1% aside into a savings account that I did not touch. That was my freedom account. That's my freedom fund. It's developing a fund for freedom, for future, for retirement, for escaping the burdens of life. And I was always broke. I was always poor. I always had debt, right? But now all of a sudden I had $1 in this account that I was never going to touch. So now no matter how poor I was, I had $1 sitting here to my name, right? And then, so I started with 1% of everything that I made. Now, every time a paycheck or an invoice or whatever came into my bank account, I split it up and I put a percentage into that account. And I split the rest of my money up in a different way, but that's for a different video, and I can talk you through what I do that's working so well for me and helping me get to a whole different level financially, but I will save that for another video. This is just about paying yourself first. And so for the first month, it was 1%. And I realized that was not too much. I still had enough money to pay my bills and do all that stuff. So month 2 comes along, and I bumped it up to 2%. So now I was taking 2% of everything that came into my account, and I was pushing it over into this other savings account that I do not touch. And the cool thing is, as you start to see money grow in this account, you start to get more inspired to save and actually build freedom into your life. And that was one of the most amazing things to watch happen. Month 3 came along, I was at 3%. Month 4, 4%. Month 5, 5% of my income now I'm saving into this account. And I'm watching this turn from $1 to $20 to $100 to thousands of dollars. And it's blowing my mind that all of a sudden, yeah, I may be in debt. I may have all these demands and obligations on my finances, but somehow I'm managing to grow this fund that is changing my life because I have money to my name now. And it was so cool when I actually hit 10% of everything that I made. And that was the goal I wanted to get at. So I started putting aside 10% of everything that came into this fund. And that was when I realized I'm paying myself first. I've never been able to do this before. In 10 years of business, I've never paid myself first. I thought I was by allowing my money that I make from my business to pay my bills and stuff. But that's not paying yourself. That's paying other people. Finally, I'm paying myself. And I'm putting money into an account that will grow into my future fortune and freedom. And what's so cool about that is I have this fund that you can use to start investing. I've never been an investor before at this point. So now I'm investing in the stock market. I'm finding ways to put it towards my retirement. I'm finding other ways that I can invest that money into new businesses. But it's really important to use that money in sure ways. So if you know you can turn a profit with it, then you put that money somewhere and you turn the profit and you put all that back into your freedom fund. And what's so cool about that is now I have multiple streams of income. I have lots of ways that I earn money passively, and that was all funded primarily by that account. You know what? And if it wasn't funded by that account, it was funded by my main income. That's even better because that means I save even more in that account, but it all goes back into that. So do you see how just the seeds that you're putting aside start to grow, and all of a sudden you have this army of money that is going to work for you to earn more and more and more. So whereas you or I was always so strapped and stressed with money before, and I never seemed to have any extra, and I couldn't invest anywhere, and I couldn't find other ways to make money because all my money went to bills or debt, I now have this pool that was mine to invest, to use, to work for other ways to make more money. So the main source of income comes in and all that money gets dispersed, but a piece of it goes over here. Now this pot begins to make other ways that make money, and they all start to bring income into my life that I never had before. So do you see how that just spirals into greatness for you? And all of a sudden you have so much more money than you ever thought you could have. Your money starts coming in new and different and unique ways. And you're able to pay off your debts, you're able to pay off your obligations, you're able to pay your bills, and you're able to still pay yourself little by little and make it grow. Now I'm up to a place where I save, I think 12.5% of everything that comes into my accounts I put aside into that account. And I'm very diligent with that. Every time a dollar hits my account, because I don't get a regular paycheck from a 9-to-5 job, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, and I got all these different little sources of income coming in. Every time a dollar hits my account, I log in online and I split that dollar, that bundle of money up according to the percentages that I've set for each area of my life. And now 12.5% always goes into my freedom fund that is for my future, that is my fortune that I'm building for myself. And that is such an amazing thing. If you aren't at that stage in life, I would recommend it so highly to start doing that. Because if you're always broke and you always have these debts and these obligations, you're going to feel so low sometimes in life, and it gets so stressful and so hard. But you know what? You might still have those same debts and those same obligations, but if you have a pile of money sitting somewhere that is yours, that you know you will never touch, you will never tap into to pay debts or bills, that is your money to earn you a fortune in the future and right now. And if you know you have that, these problems become so much less great and so much less stressful, and it begins to change your mind. You begin to build confidence, you begin to feel so much better about yourself. And all of a sudden you're achieving financial freedom for your life, and you're actually saving money, which you've never been able to do before because you were so in debt, you were so broke, you were so stressed. And the great thing is, when that amount of money actually is bigger than the amount of debts you have, the freedom you feel is incredible. So you may be thousands of dollars in debt, and you may think that you should just put all your money into that, but you have a problem. You're in debt for a reason, right? You maybe haven't figured out how to manage your money the best yet. And so don't put all of your money into that debt, because you're going to stay in debt. You're going to be continuously putting yourself into more and more debt. But if you learn how to manage that debt and pay it off respectfully with the income that comes in, but always put a percentage aside for yourself, eventually this money that you've grown will be greater than the amount of debt that you hold. And so let's say you have $10,000 of debt, but you have $12,000 in your freedom fund. You're no longer in debt, right? I mean, you still have the obligation of paying it, but now you have more money than your debt, and you're free. And that is such an amazing place to be. So I just want to encourage you to begin paying yourself first. Learn exactly what that means for you. Ask yourself why you're not doing that. You know, and leave a comment. Tell me what your struggles are, because I've been through it. I wrestled with that concept for literally a decade of my life, from 16 to 28, I think it was, before I started doing that. And so for the last couple of years, I've been paying myself first, and it's just revolutionized everything about how I live, about what I do with my finances, about how I manage my money, and how I feel about my future. And it is just mind-blowingly incredible. So the two takeaways that I really want you to focus on is, number one, go get a copy of the book Think and Grow Rich, or not Think and Grow Rich, that's another great one, Think and Grow Rich, which you should read, but The Richest Man in Babylon, and I'll have a link to that in the description below, so you can go buy it on Amazon right now. I absolutely recommend you do that. The second one is learn how to pay yourself first. Find a way that works for you. Find a percentage that works for you. You may not be able to put aside 10% of your income into an account yet. That's okay. Start like I did with 1%, but just set it as a goal to grow that percentage consistently over time until you hit 10% or 12% or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50% as you grow. And that money you set aside will be an army for you to make you even more money that you never had the opportunity to do before. You can now invest, you can now start new businesses, you have freedom to do things that you never had before when you were just paying your debts and your obligations and your bills. So do you see how that can begin to absolutely change your life? If this video helped you, let me know. Leave it in the comments. Tell me what you liked about this and what you maybe have more questions on, because I could talk about this for hours, and indeed I do. I sit down with friends, I sit down with people that I don't see doing it, and I love to talk about this because I never got it. And then all of a sudden the light clicked on when I read that book, The Richest Man in Babylon, and I learned to manage my money, and I learned to do it in a specific way, and everything changed for me. So I love to talk about this. I'd love to answer any questions you have. I'd love to just hear where you're at in the process as well. So leave a comment. Let me know if you want me to make a more in-depth version of this video, because I can talk for hours on it, and I would love to just say more things that are going to help you, but I want to make sure I'm telling you the right kind of information. Again, I'll do another video that talks about all of the different bank accounts I have and where the percentages go and why I do it that way. If that gives you any insight and helps you in any way, then I'm happy to do that. But just, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel so you can stay in touch with what I'm doing, you can learn more from me, and I can just build a great community here that you can all be a part of, and we can all learn from each other and grow with one another towards our successes. And also, would you like this video? Would you give it a thumbs up? That just helps attract more of an audience to the video so I can get that message out to more people and help it change their lives like it's absolutely changed my life. And then last but not least, would you consider sharing this video on your Twitter or on your Facebook? Just pushing it out to your social media, because if you found value in the message, then somebody else is going to as well. and I really want to build this community in a place that helps people change their lives for the better. So thank you for watching. Again, I'm Makai Block with Limitless North, and this is how you pay yourself first. I will see you on the next one.